Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of EOXS's Stories on Steel. This is a steel industry podcast featuring the big names of the business and the advice/stories they've accrued over their years as insiders. Steel has been a vital component in American life for well over a century, and the men and women who've helped it flourish are a diverse group of innovators full of interesting tales. We hope to share some of said tales here with you today. Thanks again to EOXS for providing this platform. In addition to this show, they are bringing businesses online by providing a standardized digital workspace for all your steel-related needs. Today, we welcome the General Manager of Speedy Metals, Mr. Nick Urban. Nick, thank you so much for joining us here today. How are you?
No problem. Doing great.
Yeah, well, I know it's been a hectic time for everybody listening to this podcast. We're filming right after the Capitol riots in the early to mid January. So it's been a hectic time. How are you guys doing? Okay, have recent events kind of hit? They've been hitting a bunch of industries in kind of unexpected ways. Has it affected you guys at all?
No, not at all. We just finished up our best month ever in December, and we're looking to pass that up in January as well. So we've seen an increase more than anything.
Oh, well, I'm really glad to hear it. Another way we usually start these podcasts out is get a little bit more insight on our guests, because as crazy as it may seem, there are people out there who don't know Nick Urban, the man behind
Correct.
Speedy Metals. So
Not
if
many,
you
but probably a few.
one of many important components in a real innovator in the industry. So if you wouldn't mind, give us a little bit of your backstory. How did you find your way into the steel industry?
I started when I was 18 years old. I actually started at the lowest spot in the warehouse. I was cleaning parts back then, and at the time it was just a job, and it just flourished from there, from a warehouse worker to a driver to a foreman, and then I made it up into the office in sales. I spent quite a few years doing outside sales, which then turned into a general manager / partner from there, and it's just kind of grown organically. The industry fits me really well.
Well, that's really great to hear. You hear a lot of horror stories about how those tales of starting from the factory floor, working your way up the corporate ladder, those types of positions are kind of on their way out the door. How does it feel being in one of those positions, like in the modern age?
Well, it's great, and I've always said what I like about the steel industry is the best is it rewards hard work. You know, you don't need a college degree. Well, there's plenty of people in here that have it with 4-year degrees, master degrees, but working hard, you learn the floor work, you learn the people, you learn the customers. You got to be in the right spot, obviously, to get the higher ups that'll give you the shot at that. But this industry is different in the way that you don't need to come from college to the higher roles. In my mind, we prefer people coming from the bottom, working their way up, because you get it. You know, you get how the whole operation flows.
What with that, would you say that steel is still a very tactile industry? Like, you can't really BS your way around. Pardon my language. You can't really fake that kind of passion and knowledge about it.
It's in a way, yes. You got to know what you're talking about. The customers need people that know the metal, know how the process works. It's hard to sell this product if you don't get it. You know, the end users, they depend on our knowledge here to pass that along to them, because a lot of them don't know the different metals as well as they might should, or don't need to know, because they have guys like us out here that can help them through it.
So when you're working with like newer salespeople and trying to inoculate them into the process, what are some ways what are some important early lessons that you think selling this product you need to learn pretty fast?
Patience is a big one. So Speedy Metals, we're selling a wide variety of products. We carry more than the average company does. Well, there's plenty of bigger companies out there. Our range of products is much more. So a salesperson coming into me that has zero steel knowledge, I would rarely hire them. Most of my sales reps actually came from the warehouse, where they learned the metal, they learned our product, they have a basic knowledge of it, and then we take the personalities that fit, and then we can move them up. Someone coming from selling furniture or cars, they would bomb. It's just too much. We're not dealing with just aluminum or just cold roll or just carbons. We carry everything from brass, bronze, copper, stainless, carbons, alloys in every shape, size. We do sheets, we do flame cutting. It would be nearly impossible for someone to come in without some knowledge of what we do and sell it. So,
So,
so
real quick, it does sound like there. Would you say there is a high rate of promoting from within with you guys in particular?
strictly, I would say, strictly from within is the way we do it here. Yes.
Wow, that's there's a lot of people that get in on the ground floor at certain places with that hope, but it never really materializes. So it sounds like that's really important for you guys to fulfill that promise of investing in your employees.
It's really important to me. That's how I came up. That's how I made it where I'm at. So to find those guys in the warehouse that can move up, absolutely. There's plenty of them out there. Most of them just need a shot.
Now, what I gotta ask, Speedy Metals, metal not typically known for movement. Is there a purpose behind the name, or was it just a
There's an
snazzy
absolute
logo?
purpose behind the name. We have that name, and the Speedy Metals existed before me. I came on to Speedy Metals about 11 years ago. Um, Speedy Metals is exactly what it sounds like. If you call us and you need a piece and you need it in 20 minutes, it's on the sauce, getting cut. We have it ready for you in 20 minutes. And that's really what differentiates us and has helped us grow to the level we have is we bend over backwards for every customer order, no matter what it is, no matter when they call. If they need it now, we find a way to make it happen now.
Well, I gotta say, just we're a few episodes into this podcast, and I fully have to admit, you've taken the least amount of pauses of any guest we've had. So you're definitely fulfilling that very to the point, getting you what you need to know mentality on this show.
We,
It's
we, we
made
live in chaos here, absolutely.
I mean, it's making me have to pick up the ball a little bit, which I appreciate. I'm always looking to get better at hosting. You said early at the beginning of this episode that you're just finishing up your like most profitable month in either a while, or I think you said for like ever in the history of the company.
Yep, in history, yes.
What has this month been like in terms of the workload?
I'm going to go back to that previous statement of pure chaos. We've seen a huge increase in December. 2020 as a whole was the best year we ever had. So we grew quite a bit from 2019
You
to
might
20.
want to just because of optics, I feel like you might want to workshop that sentence a little bit, just because 2020 wasn't really great for a whole lot of people.
I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't. But not over here. We've seen an extreme growth. We quadrupled our space this year. We doubled the size of our staff this year. Sales have increased almost 25% over 2019. So it's been a huge year for us. It's just going on the path we've been on. The last 5 years have all seen growth. We're on a really good plan right now, and we're looking for 2021 to explode off of that.
I mean, like, if you could, did you notice any trends and or like reasonings behind that kind of explosive growth, during the year?
There is some. So when the industry gets slow, a lot of the larger companies do struggle. When the demand is down, a lot of the larger companies struggle. We specialize in cut to length pieces. Where they're looking to push weight, we're looking to push pieces. So when the bigger companies are the bigger manufacturers out there, the OEMs, they're looking to buy less. When they look to buy less, here we are. So we pick up a lot. I hate to say we're recession proof because there really is no such thing. But we
Knock
haven't.
on wood.
Yeah, we haven't had a bad year. When it slows down out there, we usually pick up. It's even better for us, and we push service. So I mean, that's the big thing that we're doing that's kind of gotten lost in the service industry, in my opinion, is the actual service part of it, and we do what it takes with every customer every time. Everybody preaches that, and everybody doesn't live that though. We strive to live that every day.
I think that there's definitely a lot of potential for growth in any year, but a lot of businesses kind of showed up unprepared for the pandemic. That was a big thing, a big sword hanging over everybody's head in a lot of ways. And a lot of companies had to shut down, reconfigure a lot, and then reopen with new standards. Was that a speed bump for you guys at all?
No, not in any way. It was, in honesty, it was a huge advantage for us. So a lot of companies were sitting on their hands. A lot of companies were sitting, or their outside guys weren't working the phones. They weren't trying to find creative ways to meet people. Well, a lot of my competitors guys were not sending their outside guys out. My outside guy was meeting people in parking lots on opposite side of cars and chatting with them on their lunch break to push. So we really pushed hard this year and we went after every sale we could get. We chased down new customers. It, the lack of push from other competitors really helped us out a lot this year.
So you noticed other other competitors in your industry taking their foot off the gas a little bit.
That's exactly what it was, and we pushed down hard on ours.
I That goes right back to what you were saying about, the service part of the service industry. So it sounds like there's a dogged determination in the guys you have out there pushing product. Are there any other aspects of the service part of service industry you feel like you guys are focusing on that others might be lacking?
It's to in we're in the middle of review month right here to this in January, right? So we preach this all year long, but we're really pushing it right now, and it it's really simple. The basic concept of what we do is really simple. So we all have the same metal. We all have the same saws, some better than others, some newer than others, but we're all selling the exact same product. How do you differentiate yourself from the next guy? If you order a piece of a 1 inch round, 12-foot long from me, you want to cut up into 8-inch pieces. We cut it up into 8-inch pieces the way you wanted it. We clean it, we package it nicely, and we get it to you when we say we're going to get it to you. And then we're nice when we do it. And that's the simple process behind it that just it seems to be winning right now, and not everybody's doing it. Hitting your lead times, quality of the product, getting it done right, and then treating the customer like they're important, which is a huge one. Service is, again, being lost on the service industry. Service centers are forgetting the service part of it, and we depend on the customers, and the customers really appreciate the effort we put in for them.
To go back to what you were saying about we're all moving the same product, I really feel like until we're sending drilling teams into space to mine asteroids, we're also just getting it from the same place. So
You got it.
that's
You got it. Most of us have the same suppliers. The bigger guys get it a little bit cheaper than I do based on the bulk they're buying, but we just try to outservice them.
okay. Well, we're jumping around a little bit, but you mentioned briefly 2021. You're looking to continue that expansion. We're very fresh into the year, but could you give us some insights on uh, different innovations you might have coming down the pipeline, or is like different ways you think that growth is going to show itself, like in more office space, more higher greater workforce, like more equipment? Are any of those starting to materialize on the horizon yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Just this year, just the end of last year, we added an aluminum plate department, which is growing extremely quick. That's been up and running for about 3 months now. That is actually the building we moved out of has now become our plate department. Our newer building doing all of the bar stock. We're also expanding new territory. So we hired a new outside rep, a director of sales, and he is really hitting new territories for us. So we plan on expanding to quite a few new territories this year. The goal is to double sales in 2021, and that's what we're pushing for.
I think this is really a rare opportunity because there's been we've had a lot of people on that are experiencing growth in different areas, or they were able to weather the storm. But I think Speedy Metals is the first outfit we've had on that's really going through this kind of explosive expansion. So what is it like on your end to oversee and help handle that kind of growth? You mentioned chaos, but what are some of the other aspects to it that you sort of had to learn on the fly?
It's exciting. It is absolutely exciting. So I love the chaos. So when I say chaos, I love the chaos. This is what we've been dealing with for the last 5 years. It's not new. The last 5 years have all been growth over the previous year. So we've been living in chaos. It's kind of becoming the norm. Um, but the challenges I would say are more of just the bigger you get, the more problems you get, right? So the more employees, learning to manage more employees, setting up more supervisors. We had one supervisor three years ago, and now we have four of them. So it's smaller groups, learning to manage the flow of all this inventory that's coming in, 3 years ago, we probably have quadruple the amount of steel coming in the door every day, right? So working with that and keeping the process efficient, we got the new building and we just moved in here in August, and we're already looking at another building because we're growing out of this thing. And the problem we run into is the growth, is keeping the growth not too fast so that we continue to service the customers, continue to get orders out on time, and not become so compacted that we can't process orders efficiently.
I feel like based on talking to you and sort of seeing your approach to things, I feel like, and I mean this with all due respect, but patience has got to come hard because it definitely seems like you're the type of guy and this is the type of company that wants to get things done very quickly, very efficiently, fast, and that holding back on expanding has got to feel a little bit like keeping the horses in the pen a little bit. Am I wrong there?
No, that's a fair assessment. Yeah, absolutely. Patience is key though, and is doing things at the right time, obviously, and not putting the cart before the horse. As I mentioned, the new territories, we want to jump into about 4 of them right now that we're looking at and sending a new delivery trucks out to these areas. But it's got to be in order, and we're hitting it territory by territory slowly. We got plans throughout the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter to attack them all. But at the same time, it's great to add 1 million customers, but if you can't properly service them, you're just going to bomb. So patience is extremely important, and we're just trying to maximize each spot before we move on to the next one.
Now, I would be loath to just continue to bring up your competition, but you mentioned the lacking of the service part of the service industry as one of the issues you had with some of the people, that some of your competition, that lacking. Are there any other areas that you feel like Speedy Metals is picking up the slack in terms of raising the standard?
Well, absolutely, cut pieces. So our specialty is cut pieces. We cater to the mom and pop shops that are out there, for lack of a better word. The smaller machine shops are our number one customers. The 1, 2, 3, 4-man shops that can't go to the bigger guys and get the price breaks that they get because they're not buying enough metal. So our specialty is that we live off of cut pieces, production cuts. We're the place you go to if you don't want to buy a full bar, you want to buy 6 feet. And the industry standard has always been you buy the full bar because the full bar is cheaper than the 6 feet because they're charging you for the full bar anyway. Well, what we do is we charge you for what you get. We picked up enough business that we use up those drops. But the bigger guys have problems using those drops. They just sit on their floor and waste space. We're doing so much cut business through the website as well. We do a ton on our website. From that to walk-in customers coming in the door, these small drops don't hurt us in any way. So the cut pieces of metal are really what differentiates us, and the speed you can get it at.
Do you think that online presence has really been a game changer for you guys, or it's been more of a necessary thing that everybody's just doing?
I think we were ahead on it than most people were, and I know as time is going on, more and more companies are adapting to it, and in my opinion, that's the future of what it is. If you're not adapting to selling online, you're probably going to die at some point, especially with this next generation moving in, this next generation of purchasing agents. A lot of the older guys, call them dinosaurs for lack of a better word. They still want to talk to you on the phone. There's still quite a few people out there that want to send a fax, believe it or not.
Oh boy.
we still got to keep it because there's still guys out there using them, But this next generation coming in, they don't want to chat on the phone as much. They don't want to they're not going to send a fax. You're going to get an email. They want to buy it online. They want less interaction, and especially with the bigger companies, they're looking for efficiency too. They want their people to be able to knock stuff out quicker. You get it online, you get it quicker.
I just to completely deviate a little bit off into the nonsensical. Is there any way we could get insight onto how much of your annual budget is dedicated to fax machine toner? Just because I feel like that's number, if it's more than 89 cents, I feel like there's some easy places you could cut back on.
The printers get a lot more toner than the fax machine does. That's for sure. Now I'll tell you, when I started in sales, and it's been about 15 years ago, I would say 70% of our work came across the fax machine. And now today, I would say it's about 5%.
I mean, I was, I was born in '96, so I was aware of fax machines, but I feel like when I was a kid, I was convinced that like pagers were the coolest thing. Like, when am I going to get a pager? And that really dates me something fierce.
Mhm. Well, you got me beat. I'm 84.
Well, you don't look a day over 87, so you got that
I
going for
appreciate it.
you.
1984.
I understand. Yeah, I was making a crude joke at your expense, but hey, you got a better beard than I do, so I got to find places to get those licks in. So online, that's becoming a bit of that's becoming a major industry standard, especially since the ways that we're able to communicate are somewhat bottlenecked by the pandemic and different things that are keeping us in our homes. Your website, that's a big part of it, but do you have any dedication towards like the social media side of things, like on different platforms, or is it mainly your website?
So we are on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn, which is obviously where you guys found us at. The Not as much as we should be, I can tell you that. So I took over the Facebook page not too long ago and trying to push that. And the reality was I just didn't have enough time to do it properly. Just this year, we are really getting good at it. The new hire I was telling you about, the director of sales, he's really good at it. He's making videos for us, posting them on Facebook, and I love the Facebook, LinkedIn. It all helps. It's all good advertising. As much as important as that is, I still firmly believe the guy that walks into your building and picks up a piece of metal and walks out is better advertising than you can pay for anything anywhere. I like to use my customers as my best form of advertising because they're the guys talking to everybody.
So that word of mouth is still very important.
And the steel industry is huge. These guys all share business. The end users, they all share business. They all talk back and forth. It's huge. Absolutely. When they hear someone's, hey, this guy's helping me out. Speedy Metals giving me a deal on these items. Give them a shot. We get a lot of new customers from other customers.
I think that kind of the generation of a community like that, I feel like not only does it help with growth, and breaking into new customers and new avenues, but do you think it also helps in retention? The same customers coming back for repeat projects. Like, do you find
Absolutely.
that often?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the same customers is 90% of my work. As much as we're looking for new guys, we don't do a lot of one-offs for a guy that stops in one time at all. Word of mouth, the community, it is all huge. In the city we're in, Rockford, Illinois here, the community is strong. They try to keep as much business local as they can. They want to help out local businesses. They want us to get to a point where we can to meet the price demands they need, obviously. But if they get the option to match with us, they're usually taking it because they want to help out the local companies.
I got to say it's remarkable that no matter the size of the steel outfit I've talked with, every company still has a little bit of that mom and pop shop like aura about them. Do you think that's indicative of the steel industry as a whole? Like, it's a very traditional built-in industry, or do you think?
It's a very blue collar industry. That's for sure. So I definitely agree with that. It is built in for sure. A lot of the guys that you see, a lot of the CEOs you see, and a lot of ones I've met from many of the larger companies, they all came up through it. A majority of them came up and they've worked in a warehouse. Now I guess it's getting a little different. Some of the older heads were more of it, I would say, but you're getting a lot of guys that got their hands dirty 30 years ago that were out there. So they get the whole grind of it. They understand it. And the ones that are smart, the ones that are doing well, understand that their customers are, they're guys just like them.
Do you think that has anything to do with how much interaction that at all levels of the steel industry have to have with the manufacturing side of things, just because of how connected the two halves are, corporate planning, and also just the building of these raw materials, the finding of these raw materials?
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. You have to have a personal relationship with these guys, and I go back to when I firmly believe people buy from who they like. It's as simple as that. As we go back to all the metals the same, right? We all got the same bar. A lot of us are selling it that we bought it from the same place. So why are they picking that? Why are they picking you? Who do they like? Who takes care of me? who's my friends, and that's a big part of it. They look at it the same way. These guys, especially these smaller shops, and this is their life. You got a guy in there, and he might be buying $5,000 worth of steel a year, and that's all he gets. But that's his life. He's got kids at home. He's got a wife at home. He needs someone that's going to look out for him too. And if they don't feel you're watching out for them, if they feel unimportant, they're going to switch it and find someone that does feel that way.
Well, I think that's an interesting final point that I think we can sort of drive towards. What do you think has been your biggest asset in building that rapport with customers?
The biggest asset is treating everybody like they matter. And it's a very simple way to put it, and what seems like a more common sense thing to do but it's treating every customer important, every order important. From my top customers that are doing $500,000 a year with us to guys that are doing $3,000 a year with us. Every order matters. Every one of these guys pays our bills. Every one of these guys keeps us working. Every person that walks through that door is just as important as the next. And we try to live that. We try hard to live that. We have a motto around here. It's called "Work hard, be nice." We really try to live by that the best we can.
Well, Nick, that's a really impressive outlook on things. And I think that a lot of our listeners would be well served, even those that maybe aren't in the steel industry, just by living that in their day-to-day life. I feel like with the climate of things, being nice to one another could be, it might be the silver bullet, oddly enough. It's a kind of radical idea, but, who knows?
It's a really simple idea, right?
I mean, yeah, and it's crazy because I didn't expect to, Illinois is one of the few I live in Buffalo, and Illinois is one of the few places I'm comfortable saying is colder than we are on a day-to-day basis. And, it's good to know you guys aren't letting that get to you.
Yeah, well, we're doing our best not to.
All right. Well, Nick, I got to say, this has been a very interesting talk. It went in some really cool directions. Is there any kind of closing remarks you'd love to leave our listeners with?
No, we appreciate everyone that is listening. SpeedyMetals.com if you want to check us out. We're doing our best to grow in every direction we can, add more products, add more lines. I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for what it's going to bring. 2020 for us, as great as it was really setting the table for 2021. And this is our year. We're expecting it to be great.
Again, I feel like just talk to your marketing department. You really don't want to reference the year 2020. Say like the last fiscal year was great for us. Just like it's like Voldemort. You can't actually name it.
I try to find as little negative out in this world as I can.
I mean, that's great. I'm just saying people hear, man, 2020 was great, and they got to full stop a little bit just because.
At least we've found a light spot in this world.
Exactly.
Going on. If you walked inside of this building all last year, you wouldn't know anything was happening.
You know what? Now I'm just bummed I didn't come to see you guys. Yeah.
We're growing fast. We'll be hiring. Let me know.
My sister goes to DePaul, so maybe I'll stop by next time I'm in Illinois. All right. Well, Nick, thank you so much for giving us your time and a lot of your insights. It's been a really fun chat. To all of our listeners, this has been another insightful episode of EOXS's Stories on Steel. Thanks again to Nick for stopping by. And remember, whether galvanized or hot rolled, EOXS will provide a marketplace to take any steel business to the online sector. Thank you and good night.